totally anonymous and just fill in information about yourself and so we can get some of the demographics. All this information is going to be compiled and used to provide assistance when we request applications and resumes for our new minister once that process is complete. So as Kurt was saying, this is our third meeting now in our envisioning process, and the second meeting in regard to our present, Bethany's present situation. I'm just going to cover real briefly what we talked about in the last meeting, just so we can kind of get an idea of what we've already talked about. In the last meeting, Shirley explained our financial budget, explained basically that we're currently in good financial condition. We have a fairly strong dependence on the Head Start program, about 25 to 30% of our income coming from Head Start. We talked briefly about roof repair costs, how the A-frame of the roof is being covered by insurance. The flat roof repair is not covered and will probably require some kind of capital fund campaign to complete the repairs. We also discussed briefly how what we had originally projected as as the salary we could offer to our new pastor was approximately $10,000 per year below the salary recommended by the UCC. We needed to, we talked just briefly about expanding maybe on what exactly we were going to expect of our of Bethany's pastors to be, and those questions on that questionnaire will help us determine that. We talked briefly about mission finances. And one of the things that we need to talk about briefly is where our donations currently go. And we also talked about community involvement, what kind of community involvement are members willing to support, and what is the community needs here. So today we're going to start off talking about, and I was hoping that Glenn would be here since he's our building repair and maintenance person, but basically we're going to talk about briefly about building repair and maintenance issues, and maybe people that are knowledgeable about the current situation could speak up about that. Basically, some of the items on our list, one of the things which is currently being addressed, as I explained earlier, the A-frame part of the roof is going to be covered by insurance, but the other one is going to require capital campaign. We need to talk a little bit about some of the lighting problems that we're having in the nave, the door locks situation, what we're going to be doing about keypad, and some of the other issues, the handicapped toilets, was there any other items that you can think of, Tom?
Probably.
Okay. All right. So I guess I'll throw that open to discussion. Anybody that would like to speak to those items and as far as the maintenance, building maintenance?
Just as a reminder, I think the UCC Pension Board and then another similar organization has grants and funding available to help older churches become more in compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. I think I brought that up last time, and just putting that out there again.
Okay, that's very good. Very good.
Yes, Mary. Did you know what we could do to get that extra $10,000 to get up to the salary level?
Well,
what are the things that we could do to meet that?
Based on what we have paid to ministers in the past, and what Shirley recommended in the budget based on what our current income is, that's basically what we're recommending right now. And I haven't heard any other recommendations about how to increase what we're offering. Does anybody have any suggestions about ways to increase the offering for our ministers?
Well, this isn't so much about increase, but I mean, one idea that I had is we could, try to look for somebody straight out of seminary, and slowly build up to a higher salary level, because, you know, with the hope that somebody straight out of seminary with all kinds of new ideas and fresh perspective could, you know, help us grow the church, and then that would help us get to the desired salary level.
Allison, can you speak a little bit to the, I think you had mentioned, maybe it was last time, but you had mentioned something about minority.
Right. So there was one thing that I was at UCC General Synod about a couple months ago. Yeah, I guess so. Anyway.
About a month and a half ago.
Ago. And one of the things we voted on is a resolution to try to make towards equity for clergy. What has been happening in a lot of cases is things like minority clergy, whether minority in terms of sexual orientation or ability status or gender identity or you know, any racial or ethnic group, anyway, minority clergy answering calls and going out to churches, and then either they're not being paid what a cisgender white heterosexual male minister has been paid there before, or things like you know, clergy coming to a church and then finding out they won't pay for, you know, a same-sex dependent partner. So that's something that the resolution was passed, making sure that things like that don't continue, that there's actual, you know, equity and fairness, trying to make more of an effort that clergy with one or more minority statuses get what they need, because their perspective is so valuable.
So I guess my question with regard to what Marilyn asked and what John was saying is there money in place within the UCC National to assist minority ministers? Is that part of the resolution?
I think the resolution was more aspirational, that they're hoping to create things like that. It's not there yet, but
okay.
They want to.
But that's the trajectory of the.
Right.
Okay.
To me, what you had indicated, it was my impression from what you had said earlier, that it was an attempt to make sure that everybody was being offered the same amount, and wasn't being discriminated against at all based on what you'd offer other ministers. In other words, what you're offering to anyone who is a member of the LGBT group, that you would be offering them the same that you would offer anybody else.
Well, and same thing, that make sure that, you know, a female minister is paid similar to a male minister, and, you know, things like that too. It's and again, it's a large, complex issue, but that effort is what was more formalized in the resolution.
I don't feel like in our particular situation that we have intentionally or non-intentionally ever done that.
Right.
Whenever we have received applications in the past, we've always tried to, you know, indicate that everything was going to be on an equal basis with all the applicants.
So John, basically what we're saying is whatever amount we feel that we can, you know, pay any individual, that's going to be the same cost.
Exactly.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep.
The thing you want to keep in mind is, do we want full-time or part-time?
Correct.
That's another.
Correct. That is actually something. Maybe it's better to wait till we talk about our future, but that is something that we probably need to talk about.
Okay. Well, going back again to building repair and maintenance issues. Can anybody address any of those current issues that are ongoing right now?
I think, when we met with Glenn the other day, he had met with Belden finally, and found out that the insurance money that we're getting is supposed to cover the whole complex except for the flat roof. And I think, was his name Tyler?
Tyler.
He was going to go back and try to negotiate with the insurance company to see why they didn't cover the flat roof.
Okay, but we haven't heard back.
But we haven't heard anything back on that.
Okay.
So it may be that that will be covered, but I'm not gonna hold my breath.
But before we were raising a capital, money
Campaign, yeah.
for buildings and maybe we should go back, you know, and start again, try to build some money for the building, just in case, you know, insurance doesn't cover.
Well, we were kind of waiting to see the outcome of the negotiations with the insurance company, just to see maybe that there's a possibility the flat roof may also be covered, but we don't know yet until all the negotiations between the insurance company and Belden have been completed. Is that not
Yeah,
correct?
plus, some of the other repairs in that, that we're looking at, we're trying to get estimates. Before we start a capital fund campaign, we need to know how much it is we need to raise. And, that's what we're working on now is, what do we need to do and what's the cost gonna be? And what needs to be done now and what can be done in the future?
Okay. All right, so as of right now, we're still in the negotiating phase and once
And we are gonna do some minor things in that, in getting ready for this, art exhibit, we're going to have the narthex painted, take down a lot of stuff and take stuff out of there. It's too cluttered. And, we're gonna paint and do some other repairs. There's cracks and stuff like that. And we've got somebody doing that. But that's gonna be maybe a couple $1,000s, and we can afford that right now.
Now, that's going to be in September, is that right?
The art exhibit's in September. I
Okay.
think they're gonna start on the repairs this week.
Okay.
But like you said, we need some electrical stuff done too. Hopefully that'll be done pretty quick.
Okay, does anyone else have any information?
Dr. Art, is there any liability that the church might get if something happens to that art? Just a question.
Oh,
Liability, somebody
I thought
that they are.
Or just
isn't it covered?
I don't remember if it was something that was in there.
I don't even remember seeing that, he signed a little contract, but I don't think
It's all on, the artwork is like mounted, it's not individual pieces, all of it is for transport. And I don't mean, this is gonna sound like a little derogatory, and I don't mean it, but it's like bulletin board kind of, you know what I mean, where they have it where they can fold up these trifle things, and then the art is already mounted on with kind of like a backdrop and background, and she has like details and little information about each of the pieces, so it's not so much like individual, and it's just some of it's really nice, but the nice copies of things, so it's not individual pieces of art.
A lot of original, expensive artwork.
There's not a lot of intrinsic value.
Yeah, right, it's all done by the women from the detention center, so it's their therapeutic art that they did. They're just drawings and sketches, and again, I'm not trying to negate that, but there's not any, and if anyone were to take it, it would be like taking these massive,
Maybe the sign said, do not touch or something, you know, because.
and it's actually pretty, it's pretty friendly to having people around it and stuff, like it was all like laminated and things like that.
I
So
think they're all copies, I think the originals are safe, I think we're gonna be viewing copies.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
I wouldn't imagine they would.
Maybe it's just something to explore, and still to question. Even if there, are not originals, there may be some costs associated with it if it happens to our legs and walk.
Yes, right, some sort of damage,
Yeah. I'm not sure what the terms of the contract were or any of that, so.
Pretty casual, but I don't see your.
Okay, all right. As far as other building maintenance and repair issues, does anybody have any other?
The one that I was thinking about, that Glenn realized that we don't have adequate seating in the sanctuary for people with walkers and wheelchairs, and they were going to relocate a couple of the pews that are shorter in the back, relocate them to be closer to the front for those who'd like to sit up there but cannot because of.
And that's supposed to be done within the next month too.
And that's a low low-cost
Yeah.
item.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
But it's more of the disability accessibility.
Okay.
That was not in place when we redid the sanctuary and
yeah,
stuff
so
like
that's
that.
gonna change.
Yeah, those,
And you know, the carpet in the sanctuary, there are a lot of black spots there. Maybe need to be probably,
Mhm. Okay. Anybody else?
I'm visiting occasionally here. Hi guys.
Sure. Glad for your input.
I think that the art exhibiting has a lot of potential to garner interest outside of just the UCC and like maybe like social media posting like an event on there so people can see it in a way to like donate to the church. I think people outside of just like the faith group like women, minorities, young people will be interested. If it's published ahead of time and can bring people into the church or have them donate or just even get to know what UCC represents. Like that's a very good opportunity for people who are even slightly a little bit interested in them.
Yeah, part of our agreement is to host an event that month too for the public. And so if anyone, Stephanie, or if any people have ideas on how we can where we should kind of publicize that sort of thing. I mean, we were really definitely wanting to give the information to the other W area churches, but I think that there's a lot of people to think beyond just this area in terms of universities and things.
aren't they responsible for some of the PR on this?
No, not on that part, no.
So they need to contact like the TV stations and stuff like that. They might want to
Yeah, but
send
what
someone
about,
out for that.
what about NPR? I heard that we are having, somebody gave money on behalf of Bethany Church. NPR can do an advertisement there free.
Yeah, and
Because we are making the church.
Because we already pay into our NPR. That's a good thought. I don't know. if
Texas
there's-
Public Radio is the local affiliate.
Or TV.
Right,
or
and
cable.
Texas Public Radio says that they will announce anything for nonprofits, all you have to do is go onto their website and then sign it up, and they'll announce it.
I'll piggyback off of what Stephanie said a bit. I noticed the past couple of weeks that the Bethany website's been sending out event reminders for Sunday worship. Whoever's been doing that, that's fabulous. Keep doing it.
Yeah, Facebook.
Yeah, keep doing it because that's the easiest way to invite people. The people who are social media oriented, that's the easiest way to invite people. That's the easiest way to get them talking about what's going on with us because, you can start threads on the invite. You can do things like that. So that's a really good way, and it's fairly painless. So who's ever doing that, because I don't have access to the page, but whoever's doing it, please keep doing it.
And a lot of things, something that happens, I know on Facebook, and probably happens in other social media too, is let's say that I get the invitation to today's service, which I did, and I put interested or going, all my other friends see that, and it might grab their attention. There have been events locally that just because one friend in particular likes or puts interest in all this cool stuff going on in San Antonio, I've known about it. So,
And what it really does for us is even if we don't have people who are coming in the building, we have people that are keeping up with what's going on with us. Like I have a friend who works Sundays, but she wants to watch the sermons online, right?
So who's the person that update our website?
That would be
Ray is in charge of that.
Ray and Flavia.
Yeah, Flavia's helped a lot.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, Ray Wiggins and Flavia Logston. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Any other maintenance and building issues? Does anybody know the current status for the keypad? I know there's going to be something
I
done.
think there's somebody doing an estimate on that.
Okay. All right.
We're hoping next Friday for installation.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're waiting on it right now.
Very good.
Bids together.
And that's a security keypad?
Yeah.
Well,
and a code?
can you just talk? Do you
Put some of the keys up.
can anybody talk about what those kind of locks are? I mean, does anybody know about those?
I sort of wound up in the middle of it without trying. But
basically what we wanted to be sure of was, first of all, that we could have keypad access to this area, because we're encouraging a variety of use in here. Dana, the neighborhood association, for example, is now meeting here. And Beth Schwartz has been running over from, where do they live? Way up by...
Bandera and Ron.
Yeah. She's been running down here for all these things to let people in, unless we've provided a key, which we've been trying not to do. So the keypad will really expedite them and Head Start and other organizations wanting to use this area. Then there are other priorities. There will be 3 other keypads, or 2 other keypads in the other building, office and main entrance. And we just had a variety of other lock needs that had to be addressed. So
Will every entity have a different code?
we don't know yet.
I think that might be a really good idea, because then if there is any problem, we can.
Yeah, it'll have to be a different.
Every entity.
Yeah.
Jenny?
No, because you can track them that way.
A number of years ago, Country Home went to the keypad, and each child has their own keypad, and one parent has that code. So we know who's coming to pick up the child and but it also provides a safety. And like all the teachers have one code to get us in, but the parents and the kids have separate codes. So it's a 4-pad or a 4-digit code.
I bet you have all that on computer, don't you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, this will be a strictly manual.
Yeah. Well, they have a key that kind of demagnetizes it, and then you just put in the code. You know, whether it's child or whether it's door, you know, whatever. But and it's also a safety, because people can't get in to the daycare without the code unless they knock on the door and we let them in. So that was a big issue, because we used to have just an open door, and now I feel a lot safer in the building, because I know that.
Well, the locksmith came out this week, and they're supposed to come back with their suggestions and costs next week, so.
Okay. Thank you for that information. I guess that's about all we had for building maintenance and repair issues currently. As far as who that keypad kind of leads into the next thing that I wanted to discuss a little bit about, and that's the facility, or how the church facilities, specifically the social hall, is being used by other groups. And it is a little bit of a problem, since right now we don't really know who all has keys to the building. And just to give you an example, these are some of the group information we got from Beth as far as who's actually using the social hall right now that are not actually non-members of the church. The Dana group, as Tom had mentioned, that's the Delview Association for the neighborhood. They have begun using this as their primary meeting place. Of course, the Head Start and Family Services, they hold regular training sessions and things like that in here. So they're using it quite often, and have used it a lot for teacher training and those kinds of things. So and of course, they're paying a significant part of our income for us. So we want to ensure that they have access, and we're providing some of the things that they need to assist in their educational pursuits. We also have an organization that's called the NAJIFF, which uses it, and I'm not really sure how they started using the facility, but basically it's the North American Junior Football Federation or something. It's a group that actually, you know, has kids ages 4 to 13 or something like that engage in they have some kind of flag football concerns, and somehow they I don't know how, somehow they started meeting here, so the
I
house.
think they talked to Pastor Jerry.
Oh, okay.
When he was still here,
Okay.
and that's how it started, and they meet twice a month.
Twice a month, okay. And then, of course, our Samoan congregation, which uses the building about 3 to 4 days a week.
Right.
Here for their pursuits as well. So they're fairly active in using this. We have the upcoming book club, which will be using the facility. Of course, that's me, primarily members. And then we also have a recorder group, which the recorder instruments. And there is a group of musicians that are interested in a recorder training and practice area and things like that. So we have that recorder
elementary
group.
school music class. That's a nightmare. I can't believe anybody would want to do the recorder on purpose.
They're really nice people.
They know how to play.
Okay.
Xavier, not like elementary school kids, right?
Yeah, I think this is a little more elevated type of training that they're receiving.
Yeah.
So those are some of the uses currently for our building, and there is a problem. Hopefully, the keypad will remedy some of those situations, so we can kind of get an idea of who actually is using the facilities. Beth does a real good job in maintaining as far as kind of keeping up with all this, but it can be a little overwhelming, I think, from time to time. So, but we know that we are providing additional services there for the community, and hopefully that will lead to other things. Does anybody have any comments about the use of our facilities?
I'll just add that, what John said is absolutely correct, that Beth Schwartz is the be-all, end-all as far as knowing who's doing what when in the building. A lot of, the rest of the council we may or may not know. But Beth is the she is the authority. So when we say to you, ask Beth, we're not trying to put you but that's because she knows for certain what's going on. So just keep note of that.
There is a calendar in the narthex,
right? Yeah.
Which does have I guess the majority of those groups listed
it does.
Somewhere on there. But however, some of them that use it may not be listed on that specific date, but if you look at the top of the calendar, because they have regular days that they use it, it'll be listed on the top of the calendar as opposed to specific dates on the calendar itself. So you have to kind of read that with a little bit of interpretation to figure out who's going to be here when.
I think eventually that may port over to the website once we get some stuff. Once we get some stuff worked out, we're in the midst of changing web hosts and some other things, but we have someone who's absolutely brilliant and and a member of the church working towards that. So
the other thing that we want to do is avoid conflicts between groups. So we don't want to be scheduling two different groups at the same time. And Beth has been very good at monitoring that too. So and Tom, I think you
just a quick comment, Kurt. Again, thinking about future. To me, the matter of building use is a mission issue, and to be talking about that as part of future mission, what would be helpful in terms of use of the building?
And we don't want to be limited by access. If anything in terms of ways that we can reach out to the community and different people and organizations that might use our building. We don't want to be limited by can someone get down here? That's a way for us to have the community be able to say, yes, and here's the code to get in, and here's where the sign is posted so you know how to lock up and clean up and all that.
Speaking to that, just in the last 24 hours or less, various progressives here in San Antonio have put out on Facebook, we need to organize, we need to, and so forth. There was a protest at Travis Park yesterday about the Confederate flag statue, and some of the groups that were out there had weapons.
What?
Were brandishing weapons and so forth.
It
is legal. It is legal, but it's very intimidating.
Yes.
Right. And so basically the response to stuff like that and to Charlottesville and so forth is starting to be, you know, we need to organize and so forth. So a space like this could potentially, if that's something that the congregation would be willing to do, it could be used for meeting, strategizing, that kind of thing. And if we had a keypad, we could let them know, okay, use this code to, you know, to do this or something. So that's speaking kind of to what Tom was saying about potential future uses.
Yes.
What about, I remember one time I was at church and the lady stopped because she wanted to see if she can use this facility for her birthday, you know, and that's part of the community as well too, you know.
In the past, we have rented out for birthdays and things like that. And the problem has been in the past that a lot of these people that rent it for birthdays don't clean up after themselves. Everything gets messy and requires big effort on our part to come back in behind them, clean everything up, make sure everything gets put in the trash cans, and by the time you do all that, it doesn't, whatever they pay to rent it hasn't been very cost effective. So we've kind of discouraged that and not used and not offered that as far as private parties, you know, and things like that.
One way we could kind of circumvent that is to have them give us a deposit, and if it's not cleaned up, we keep the deposit, you know, which I know other churches have done.
In the past, Jerry has done that, and even though they collected, you know, $100 or something for that, they didn't really feel like the things that we had to go back and clean up. That deposit did not take care of the effort that way it was required.
When they deposited that money, they don't pay for the building. They can destroy the building and do whatever.
Exactly. They think because they pay that deposit, they don't have to do anything as far as you know, damage to the building and all.
To monitor them because, you know, it's probably Saturday or.
Shirley, did you have a comment about that or anything? Do you? Okay.
I have something. In terms of use of this space, another thing we could expand into, a lot of you know that I'm sort of, kind of, particularly with Jenny, you know, involved with mental health ministry. Jenny really helped with the practical end of things. But you know, one of the things that the UCC as a whole recommends in terms of congregations doing more for mental health ministry is offer meeting space for mental health support groups. You know, which may or may not be affiliated with our congregation. People may come who are part of our congregation or may not be, but it's something that, you know, whether it's a National Alliance for Mental Illness chapter, NAMI, or something similar, Depression and Bipolar Alliance, those kinds of things. Another thing, and I don't mean to imply by my segue that there's anything pathological about gender diversity, but just in terms of different areas that we can expand in. Right now, we have transgender and gender diversity support groups that meet in San Antonio. We've got two of them, one that's been going on for 15 years and one that's fairly new, that both meet on the first Thursday of every month. So I don't know who decided on that, but we could offer meeting space so that these groups could. Yeah. I think the San Antonio, you know, the San Antonio Church Association, or SAGA, the one that's 15 years old, always meets on the first Thursday of every month. I mean, the first and third Thursday of every month, and now this new group is also on the first Thursday. So, yeah, and they tend to do it at the Metropolitan Community Church, which is a lovely congregation, but that's an area we could expand into.
I'm interested in helping with that.
Yeah, LGBT outreach, particularly considering what's going on in this country and in this state with transgender and gender non-conforming people. That's definitely in line with UCC's priorities, so it's just an idea to throw out there.
Okay. Let's see. Did anybody else have anything as far as building usage? Another thing that I thought we might want to touch on briefly was our different outreach programs that we're currently involved in. Specifically, where our donations are going right now. I know with UCC, there's I believe 5 programs that the UCC participates in.
Like Neighbors in Need?
Exactly. The 5 programs, well, I have 4 of them. The Neighbors in Need programs. These are all annual things that come up every year. Normally, yeah, the UCC sponsored programs that we try to support. The Neighbors in Need, the 1 Great Hour of Sharing, Strengthening the Church, and Veterans of the Cross. And some of those are kind of self-explanatory. Veterans of the Cross would be minister retirement programs for UCC ministers and supporting that. Strengthening the Church is my understanding that program for the UCC is used to assist other churches that may be just starting out, maybe ones that are having problems, with membership and things like that. 1 Great Hour of Sharing, that's kind of a worldwide thing, which I believe
Mission. Wider mission.
Right, wider mission. And
just a little question about pension board and soldiers of the...
Yeah, that's what the money is used for the pension board.
Are they they are connected?
Yeah, that's what it's for.
Right, and the pension board, what they do is they go around to, they each have so many ministers in their
group or whatever.
In their group, and they go around and they check on them every month, and like if they have an emergency or a financial need, they will.
But these are all UCC sponsored things, which all of the UCC or most of the UCC churches in that area participate in. And so those are regular, and I assume that we're going to continue to support all of those missions.
And then local things like Christian Assistance Ministry.
Yeah, I was going to get to the local ones here.
John, Neighbors in Need.
What's their basic, that's for stuff in the U.S.?
Now, I'm not sure of the specifics of some of these programs. All I know is these are the most common ones that are UCC sponsored, that our church provides. There's a little certificate where it says our church is 5 for 5. That's the 5 national or UCC-wide programs.
Right.
And normally our church provides some funding to each of those 5 programs.
Does anybody know the fifth one?
I'm sorry?
Does anybody know the
trying to
fifth one?
remember, I can't.
The fifth one.
Strengthen the church, Neighbors in Need, Veterans of the Cross.
We were just by
Our church's wider mission.
OCW.
It's OCWM, Strengthen the Church, 1 Great Hour of Sharing, Neighbors in Need, and Veterans of the Cross. Right.
So basically, when you go online or when you look at your website, you can say, well, we are currently sponsoring what the UCC has programs have been sponsoring. But just so if somebody's interested in those kinds of things, they can look and see what those what we're doing. And Marilyn, if you have any specific questions about those, I'm sure the UCC website will fully explain what each of those programs are. So if you have specific questions about those, you can go to the UCC website and see that. Okay. Any other?
Well, are you going to mention the others?
Yeah, I'm going to mention the local programs now as far as our mission outlook. We have CAM, Christian Assistance Ministries, which we're providing support along with, I think it's about 75 other churches in the San Antonio area. The CAM has no funding from the federal government. All of their funding comes from church donations, and that money is received, and they have I forgot how many paid employees there, but it's very few. The majority, over 70 volunteer people that work every week. And Glenda and I go down there, and Dorothy, and I know that we have a number of people that go down there and volunteer, and they're basically providing the homeless with with clothing, with food, with people that are in emergency situations. They're able to help them with CPS bills and things like that. So they're assisting. They're doing a great assistance for the San Antonio community and people that actually are able to use those funds and clothing things immediately, you know, to help improve their situations.
I got a question.
Sure.
Can we bring food donations here to collect and bring to?
Well, we do have different programs throughout the year, and like we just got through sending peanut butter and jelly, which is used to make sandwiches.
Peanut butter and jelly, and then I didn't get your bread.
You can bring it at any time.
Oh yeah, you can bring that at any time. We'll make sure that it gets down there. We have enough volunteers here that can take it down there, and that's one of the things. You wouldn't think that peanut butter and jelly would be so beneficial, but especially during the summer, it is for children.
Well, back to school will be important too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that CAM does, Christian Assistance Ministries. We also support Back Bay Mission in Mississippi, Biloxi, Mississippi. They've had some serious problems with hurricanes, damage to the churches there, and rebuilding situations, and so we currently provide support for Back Bay Mission churches. And if you notice in our newsletters and things, you will see letters of coming from some of these organizations thanking us for our support in providing help with monetary help for that mission. Eden Hill, where a lot of UCC retirees live. They have a nursing home there. They have high-rise living. They have a lot of different facilities there to support elderly folks, people that are retirees, and so that's a big program there in New Braunfels that we aid and support. The other, like Delview School, we're currently collecting backpacks, things like that. We have mentoring programs for Delview School also, which many of our members are involved in. And once the school starts back up here in just another month or so, and usually in the month of October is or September, late September, early October is when the mentoring starts again. So those are some of the ways that we're currently involved there. And let's see, was there any other?
Yeah, Q.
I'm sorry?
Q,
okay.
which is Chicago United Eden Seminaries.
Oh, okay.
And Slumber Falls Camp.
Slumber Falls Camp, okay. So that's where some of our donations and funds are currently going. Our mission outreach funds are going right now. Does anybody have any questions about those? Okay, well, I'm sure we'll be continuing to support those for quite some time.
Have we ever been approached for participation in the Meals on Wheels program that delivers?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know if I really don't have any history on that, so I'm not sure if they've ever actually talked to us.
People can volunteer for that at any time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're always looking for
volunteers to help
to deliver meals.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Some of the things that I also wanted to mention. Current Sunday school activities for adults, children, any Bible studies, and special interest group studies and activities that we're currently having right now. I know that...
Zero?
I'm sorry?
Is it zero? Is it zero?
Yeah.
Well...
what about the thing at Jenny's house?
Yeah.
We did that, we broke for the summer, so.
Oh, okay. It broke,
It's
okay.
really Jenny and Bob and Stephanie.
Oh, okay.
Generally. But we have a great time.
And could you kind of refresh everybody on what you did? Could you kind of refresh everybody?
Well, we did, the first year we did it, we talked about each other's faith, kind of journeys of faith and stuff, and then this past year we went through the UCC's the curriculum, not really curriculum, but some things that the UCC had put out on white privilege, and so we went through that this past year, so we'll see what happens next year.
I've got a DVD set that Allison brought back from Synod on Islam that the UCC put
And then they
together.
had put out, yeah,
So,
actually, I saw, I'm glad you said it, I forgot about that one.
There's also,
Lots of options.
there's also some books that other congregations have done a kind of a book club study group on mental health issues.
There's no shortage of ideas, there just
Oh,
has to be
okay.
shortage of participation.
right. Yeah.
I've got lots of ideas.
Also, Jenny, didn't you, start an adult Sunday school class?
Yeah, we did that, yeah, for a while, and that,
I mean, the constant problem that, I mean, it's not necessarily a problem, it's just a logistical reality,
Yeah,
is
right.
that choir practice is before church, which is the best time for it, for everybody's schedules, and nobody's going to argue with that. But most of the people in the choir would be the ones who would attend adults education. So, I mean, and we're not going to compromise our music program whatsoever. Our music's one of the yeah, exactly. So you know.
and this isn't a Bethany, I mean, this is just, this isn't a Bethany issue, I mean, this is just where the church is these days, you know, and where, especially kind of these mainline Protestant churches are these days, and every church is kind of trying to rethink what does Christian education look like, and thinking beyond the walls of Sunday school, and what are other ways that education happens, and, you know, so we're we're a good company.
I will say, speaking to our
to do this.
Speaking to our present, I think one of the aspects, I think that our literacy, as far as biblical literacy and so forth, and what's going on liturgically and so forth, has increased since Tom's been on board and been sharing the gospel, his little meditations on the gospel readings every week in email. And I think, and I've gotten positive responses from members of the congregation about that. I think that's something that kind of helps us, to maybe turn on the light a little bit during the week. And that's also something we can incorporate too in the invites. If you're going to invite people via Facebook to the sermon, you can put the gospel reading in there too. All these different media outlets for busy people, I think, is probably the direction that we're going to have to go, simply because if you look at the age of our congregation, I mean, those of us who work a lot. So that's yeah.
Okay, so that kind of addresses that situation there. The last thing that I have on my list, here relates to the community garden and our uses for the community garden. And Leylin has been kind of the head of that program since we started. And I thought maybe we could get some insight into what currently is going on with the community garden and what and maybe include also a few things for the future. So Leylin, if you could just say a few words about it, we'd appreciate it.
Sure. So there was a grand vision for that garden, and we did want to make it a community garden. We have 8 spots. 5 are actively being guarded right now. We're all working people. We have limited time, and so it has been a challenge battling the Bermuda grass out there. We've tried many things. I will say that I take a lot of joy in what we have been successful with. We have had good crops. We have learned things. We have been together as a group, working as a team. So there has been a lot of joy from that aspect. It was intended, though, to be a connection with the community. And with the situation with the Bermuda grass, it's really impossible to invite somebody in and say, would you fix this plot for us? So that's kind of where we are. We need to talk with the facilities people and see what our path might be going forward, but we love working with it. Go ahead.
Leylin,
you need to talk with Matt and the Samoan congregation.
Yes.
He's interested in trying to work with that too. I don't know if you've talked with him.
We've already, last Sunday, we spoke with him.
Okay.
And so, we have had some contact already with them, and, we need to talk a little further with them just to get their ideas of what, they'd like to do as well. And so, Matt is a current member of the,
He's the leader, the
of
moderator.
the building, situation, building maintenance, and so when we have our meetings.
Okay.
Lynn is also going to be attending
Okay,
those
good.
meetings now as well, so that we'll be able to have some active, conversations about that and, what needs to be done, or what things they can help us with maybe, what things that their ideas too, as far as what needs to be done.
We're trying to encourage them that this is also their facility.
Right.
And they need to take part in it. And, they have been very active in doing some of the tree trimming and
Lawn work.
lawn doing and stuff like that. And, they have never had a facility where they had to do anything before. At Fort Sam, they just used the
government took
building,
care of
they
everything,
didn't
yeah.
do anything. So we're trying to get their input into a lot of this also.
I'd like to,
Marilyn?
explore the idea of making enough so that we can do some canning as a group, in the women's group, and, as fundraising for things in the church as well. I'm willing to do that. I think it's a very unifying experience for everybody. It's kind of old fashioned, it's down home. I will be willing to spearhead that.
And like you
in a
said, as
larger
part of the, women's group, that might be a good project for y'all to undertake.
To take the produce, not just harvest it willy-nilly, but to, in a very, even if the Samoans get involved as well, in a large way, get all the produce and actually do something with it. I would be willing to do that. Because I know certain stuff.
Any other comments?
I do a lot of microbiology and I do a lot of sterilization, so no problem. It would be no problem.
Are there any other areas that we wanted to cover? Or
I didn't have anything on my list, that was just what I came up with, so it's kind of open now to any
Yeah.
topics that anybody would like.
According to my video, we're 52 minutes in, but if anybody else has anything else they wanted to add, I just want to take this opportunity. I mean, this church is just vital for me personally, and I want to thank Tom and thank all the search committee members and the staff and everybody for just keeping things running, even when we, it seems like nobody knows what's going on. Somebody knows what's going on. and Tom's going on vacation this week, so everybody wish him safe travels and relaxation and so forth. And Jenny's speaking next week, so we'll have that. But so are we adjourned?
Well, Tom or Jenny could.
I had a question.
Oh, sure.
There was a list of things that we were looking at. We're hoping we'd get comments from people about. One of the things congregations should do in their interim period is be discussing the significance of location. And I remember when I first came over here, I thought to myself, well, the church building's kind of located, nestled in a neighborhood, and that's not necessarily the best thing. And had lots of questions about it. As time has gone by, that picture has changed and evolved for me. But I think it's important, even if you don't talk about it out loud, you might want to make a comment on those little sheets that we passed out for you about what you think about the current location. How is it an asset for the congregation at this time? Or do you personally have some reservations about it and think we should be in Stone Oak or something? So that's just one area that I've got rolling around in my mind. As long as I'm talking.
We ain't got Stone Oak money, Tom.
As long as I'm talking, another question. Dana, the Neighborhood Association, contacted us, and their email has gone to the church council last week. about participating, helping develop a neighborhood pantry. So Melinda, is Melinda still over there?
Yeah, here I am.
Melinda, I call her Sarah, but her name's really Melinda. Melinda, one of the things that could be interesting, depending on, is if we get involved in helping develop a pantry in the area.
That sounds like a opportunity.
It's a very big issue.
It's big.
I've worked in one here, I've worked in one.
But we do need people to write comments about anything.
Okay.
Anything's fair game for the call committee.
Okay. Tom, could you dismiss us with a prayer?
Jenny, anything?
No.
Okay.
We're talking about the food pantry side conversation. Well, maybe someone else, Ruth was saying that maybe there was one in the past. Do y'all mind?
What?
Food pantry ever?
Yes, we had.
Okay.
Years ago.
Just, you know, look around. I think this is a superbly good turnout for August, for this event. I am just very, very grateful. If anything, we got a good chance to look at the ministry of the congregation as it stands right now. What we didn't really get to hear was voices about your observations about present situation. Again, use that sheet. Write things down. What do you observe here? What are you glad about? Strengths, assets, and what might be something that affects the call process above and beyond worrying about salary, okay? There was one other thing, one other closing thing.
Next month, do you want to look at next month at all?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's why we keep Jenny around here. I have a friend who always said when the two of us are together, that makes one brain. Next month, my suggestion to council and search committee is going to be that we consider having a retreat. A retreat might be 4 hours, you know, here on a Saturday morning. It doesn't have to be some major thing. But instead of trying to compress this into an hour on Sunday morning, if we're going to talk about future envisioning and people's ideas, and everybody's going to have a voice in that, then why not get together and spend some extended time about it?
I'm told that evangelical Lutherans bring beer to retreats. Is this?
I've heard that. So be thinking about that, especially if you're a council member. And I think that's all I've got.
Do you want to dismiss us in prayer? John asked if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'll dismiss you with my favorite prayer. This is what I do when I'm called upon to do grace. Amen.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much.